The LinkedIn Challenge, the dangers of ill-witted censorship. Hello, this is Hnatio reporting for the Objective News Network. At ONN, we pride ourselves in the truthfulness and objectivity of the reporting we do. Recently, we did a series based on deep research using a powerful and unbiased software tool called authentication. Authentication is a truly revolutionary and breakthrough technology that was created for the specific purpose of separating fact from fiction. It combines the power of English linguistics with supercomputers to look across the internet to help us find the best available information that either supports or debunks what we call genuine issues of fact. The reason we rely on authentication is to fight the phenomena of fake news. Our 5-part series on the origins of COVID-19 was thoroughly researched at the doctoral level of intensity to reflect genuine issues of fact to deal with both sides of a highly complex matter of grave significance to the world as we know it today and the world of the future. The COVID-19 outbreak is a matter that requires deep and concerted thought and free discussion by all of the peoples of the world if we are to confront the evil genius of bioengineering that has somehow popped out of the laboratory beaker to kill millions and millions of people. By the way, millions of more people continue to die, and we still do not know exactly why or how it happened. What happened, how it happened, why it happened, who did it, and why are questions that must be answered if we are ever going to reach a consensus on how to prevent it from ever happening again. At ONN, we are proud of our work and stand behind the intellectual integrity of everything that we do. Our series on the origins of COVID-19 is no different. As we were following our normal course of publishing the story, we were confronted by a message from LinkedIn admonishing us for spreading false information. As we logically looked at different and often opposing beliefs and opinions out there from a broad cross-section of experts on both sides of the issue, some saying that it was just a fluke of nature, while other experts claim that the December 1999 breakout of COVID-19 in Wuhan, China, was the consequence of a bioengineered pathogen. In any event, we received this email directly from LinkedIn, accusing us of spewing disinformation and then placing a special government label on our work, warning others that we were nothing but a rogue bunch of liars out there spewing false information. An insult to all of us at ONN who work so hard to bring you the truth, but an insult also to every American who believes in our Constitution and the notion of free speech and the idea of trying to reach citizen consensus on issues like these. Moreover, LinkedIn has taken upon itself the right to serve as some sort of woke master by referring us back to the very same U.S. government bureaucracy that has served as the nation's bellwether of misinformation on the COVID-19 pandemic from the very outset of the crisis. A sort of muddle-along approach built on a foundation of shifting sands that caused the building to tip over on its side long ago. Now, back to the veracity and objectivity of our story. One thing I did not mention in our ONN piece to help assure the objectivity of what we were presenting was that I used to be a senior official during the Clinton administration working directly on these issues. After the fall of the former Soviet Union, I did a stint on Capitol Hill working for Senator Pete Domenici, writing legislation to start up major programs, trying to keep Russia and other FSU scientists and engineers from going to places like Communist China, North Korea, Libya, and other countries and various terrorist groups across the world whose interests were inimical to those of the United States. After the legislation passed, I was sent back to the Department of Energy to start what was known as the Initiatives for Proliferation Prevention Program, or IPP for short. I brought together the 10 Department of Energy national laboratories with over 100 industry members of a consortium that included university partners to conduct peaceful scientific cooperation around mutual areas of commercial potential across Russia, Ukraine, and what was then called the Commonwealth of Independent States. The program was highly successful for the United States, with more than 200 institutes engaged in projects that prevented the economic dislocation of thousands of Russian nuclear and biological weapons scientists and engineers. All was going very, very well, and we were making tremendous inroads in the path towards a lasting peace until I learned that the Central Intelligence Agency, without my knowledge, had clandestinely embedded itself in what were supposed to be peaceful projects, all through the venue of their vassal, the United States Department of State. I began my own major investigation to find out what was really going on, only to learn that the military-industrial complex of the United States, via the so-called intelligence community, were actually funding projects to have Russian biological weapons scientists engineer fast mutating pathogens like SARS and measles to make them incurable, just like the Chinese may have done with COVID-19. What our intelligence community was really doing was to violate the Biological Toxins Weapons Convention, to develop incurable fast mutating pathogens that could serve as biological weapons. All of this done at grave risk to every person in the world, including each and every American. This was in direct contravention of President Nixon's order of November 25, 1969, denouncing the use of lethal biological agents and weapons and all other methods of biological warfare. And it was also in violation of Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution that speaks to the obligation of our nation to live up to our treaty commitments. When I acted to stop the CIA from having anything to do with my programs, I was summarily ordered to attend a meeting with my boss, Ken Baker, an assistant secretary at the Energy Department, at the old executive office building in downtown D.C., where I was met by Ambassador Richard Morningstar, who was serving at that time as President Clinton's special advisor on assistance to the new independent states of the former Soviet Union. Ambassador Morningstar was accompanied by Jack Caravelli, a CIA official assigned to the National Security Council staff, Ann Harrington, a senior State Department official, Kim Savitt from the Department of Defense, and a host of other intelligence community mid-level officials. I told the assembled group that what they were doing gravely endangered the national security of the United States. In return, I was told that if I did not keep my mouth shut, my career would be over. The assembled group told me that they would not stop their clandestine work. In protest, I resigned my position as the director of the IPP program. Over the next decade, I received periodic death threats as I worked internally to expose what was really going on. For many years, I felt it was my responsibility to find a quiet way to solve the problem that would not embarrass the United States in front of the entire community of nations, given the magnitude of our leaders' disregard for the American people. But what has happened with the United States funding of Chinese advanced bioengineering via the National Institutes of Health now requires that all Americans understand the truth and regain control over a government bureaucracy gone wild. So I say to the dear LinkedIn censor, whoever you are, I would welcome your engagement for the record to explain exactly what we reported to the American people in our story that represented false information. We are supremely confident that you cannot do so. Of course, this raises serious questions as to why you are attempting to censor by the use of warning labels, threats, and other means fully validated content of academicians, researchers, and journalists like myself that are trying to get at the genuine issues of fact so that the citizens of our republic are allowed to see and understand the issues of the day objectively, logically, and without the false spin of government and political intrusion. After all, it is the people of the republic that determine what the proper role of government is in their lives, not the government bureaucracy, and certainly not LinkedIn. LinkedIn should be ashamed of itself for denying the right of free speech to the citizens of the republic and denying the full disclosure of the information needed by people to achieve consensus on the best path forward for our republic. To LinkedIn, I simply say, shame, shame, shame on you. This is John Hnatio reporting for the Objective News Network. Thank you for watching, and please remember that we would never intentionally deceive our viewers, as LinkedIn has accused us of doing. To us, you as the viewer are our lifeblood. We couldn't exist without you. It is what it is for December 28, 2022.